Hello. So, going to do a live video so I can upload it for my video log today on YouTube. And it is on cults. Today I want to talk about cults. And, cults were pretty popular in the 60s and 70s. They were like a worldwide thing. Trying to see what I'll remember. I actually have like this cloth that was given to me because I know this older lady gave it to me, and she gave somebody else a matching one and stuff. And she was alive during that time. She told me that she was seeing somebody. Yeah, she was seeing this guy, and they were all into the different different philosophies and stuff that were being studied at the time. I don't like using this word, but the New Age stuff, and different philosophy in itself was really popular, and that's what spurred the cults and stuff. Is revamping into different thought forms and different ways to live life and stuff like that. The last super well known crazy cult was in the 90s. There's been tons since, but the last one that was reminiscent of it was really kind of a touchdown, funny enough, but real serious was that Heaven's Gate stuff in the 90s. So since then, they've been more centered around Christianity. They've been more hidden. But, I really, like I said, when I was a kid, my favorite topics were ancient Egypt, Nazism, and the Holocaust and stuff like that. That whole situation, World War II, and then monarchs and individual monarchs and stuff, people, and so I, even in, I didn't study hardcore. I didn't major in any of those three subjects. But have read the same information over and over and over for 40 years. That is definitely, pretty important information. But I definitely did not see, it happening again. And that's what's happened with the autism stuff. It is a cult. It is, it's not a terrorist thing, and it's a worldwide thing, but it is definitely a cult. It is definitely a religious practice. So is the KKK. The KKK definitely, is a religious practice. That's why it's still around. It's definitely a cult, though. So I did not have, being the main topic of a cult, and the only person that I've ever heard, I'm the only person, because I don't know anybody else, that ever had autism, besides something in the Bible about it. Other than that, I did not have that on my lifetime bingo card. I knew there was something. And, you know, like, I definitely knew that there was something wrong with me and stuff, even as a little bit kid, you know. But I did definitely not think in my wildest dreams that it would ever turn out to be something that has a cult, you know, based on it. Like, um, it's really scary. You know, I cannot talk about it with people that are in the cult. Like, you know, some people know about it and stuff, and like, I get mixed, you know, conversations about it, you know, like face to face and stuff, and people that know me, like, they're like, but this information, you know, because usually the people that are in that, you know, in the, like, know that information, like, because nobody in my town or around me, like, my age is like, that was born and raised here, um, identifies with that. You know, they might be like, oh, I'm autistic, you know, like joking and stuff, and like identify with like the behavioral symptoms, and that's ADHD, you know, but nobody's like in the cult, like, you know, gone and paid the $3,000 to get diagnosed with it and stuff, and like identifies like their entire, you know, identity on it and stuff. So that's the thing. I really don't know. Like, I really, really, really am interested, you know, not where my life is going to go, because it don't affect my life, like, the fact that there's a cult, because there's always, like, cults in the world and stuff. I just am a little shocked that I just wish there was somebody else. Like, I'm glad I have friends and stuff and family, but like, and they like do speak to me, you know, like they know me, like they know my situation. They don't know the name for it. Like they don't, you know, like that's not a thing because it's so rare. But like, and we don't, you know, talk about it, but we do talk about me, like, and they talk about like, you know, my own, like they learned over, you know, my lifetime over the last 40 years, like, what I can and can't do, and like what, like my own medical things, you know, like to be honest with you, you know, like I've mentioned, my grandparents are having their stuff go on, but also, so there's me and my two aunts, and I have this, one of my aunts has had cancer, breast cancer in the last 10 years twice. And then my other aunt had like surgery 2 years ago. And so it's like all of this within the past 5 years has popped up. Like I had, you know, the seizures and the brushes, the brushing with, you know, the epilepsy, and, you know, didn't, you know, I'm not deceased obviously. And then the brushing with the narcolepsy, which, you know, I am prone to both of them. Like, they will keep going until I actually hit menopause. It's not something like, and I can't take medication for it because it's not an actual diagnosis, even though I have all the symptoms. Because it'll go away. And my body, it goes away. Like, it not only will, like, the repeating of the pattern stop, but, like, it, like, there is a pattern. Like, so people who have those conditions are like that 24/7 every single day. Like, it doesn't come and go. And, like, I literally have, you know, some people would say that's dissociative identity disorder, because within dissociative identity disorder, you can have like different symptoms, and like like physical symptoms and stuff that you don't normally have, like depending on your identity and stuff. Like, I have a theory, and this is not, researched or anything, that is actually the basis for dissociative identity disorder. When you have like multiple, but which is funny is because actually that's autism. That's neurological autism. So I am super amazed. It's really scary. I have removed myself pretty much like off of public internet though, because like, I have good faith in like people and myself and like the judicial system and stuff, but sometimes people get crazy. And I don't want to get murked. So, and also don't want to cause any kind of problems or any kind of anger, regardless of the natural inclination of some people, who have personality disorders, who live for stuff like that, It's like, it's really interesting. Like, people really can't fathom that, people are very much considering, it's a situation where, like, an animal has psychiatric issues, if they're, like, put in a zoo. But, like, animals don't have psychiatric illnesses, like, out in the wild. Like, that's not how they're built and they're made and stuff. Animals do have neurological autism, have autism spectrum disorder. Like, that is something that animals have. Out in the wild, like, outside of enclosed spaces and stuff. It could very well be a situation, where an animal is in the womb in a litter, because it happens in litters and stuff, and like from what I've seen, I mean, it could happen in individual animals, but I'm not really sure how that works. I've only ever seen it in litters. But like, it could be a product of like there not being enough, like, or the like a really smart cat, like, and not like behavioral smart, but like like having normal potential and stuff, and then like something wavering up and down within the mama cat, and then so like there's a flip that goes on in the brain and keeps the, and so the body and everything like will look normal, but there's a neurological difference. That's what I'm thinking happens maybe in litters and stuff, because can see the difference. And the cat, probably, will have a couple less years on its life than like the other, like than its brothers and sisters. But like it doesn't have it is the cat version of intellectual disability. It's not like a dumbing down, it's like it's a born that way thing. And it's not an anxiety disorder from like being, kept or anything. Like, it's born like that. Animals only have that same condition when they are on the outward, in psychiatric disorders and stuff, when they are kept in cages. And in zoos and stuff like that. So, I see where there might be some kind of discrepancy, but in humans, what happens is the outwardness, like the difference between like spiritual autism and neurological autism presents in opposites. Like that literally is the two different like types of people in the world. Like you know, it is flipped, you know, because like people are like, oh, I'm neurodivergent. It's like that means you're normal. That is a normal. That means your brain is normal. It means you don't have a neurological condition. So it means your brain doesn't neurodivert. It means you don't need help, like, physically. You know, you need help as a person, like, but every person needs help on the planet. Like, you know, that is to be human. You know, so you've got, like, a group of people who have taken all these words and say that they have a medical condition of humanism, and like, cause like, you know, people, like if you have a child, like there, you know, is a really high chance that it's going to be diagnosed with ADHD. That's something that just happens. Like kids have all kind of different, you know, IQs and stuff like that, you know. It is extremely rare for a person to have whatever happens that, you know, makes one autistic. Like it is extremely rare. You know, it is talked about because it's something that happens in animals. But like, you know, like I've mentioned, you know, I do have a mentally and physically half-sister who, you know, is 9 years older than me. And I also have a brother who is 2 years younger than me who is has ADHD. So my sister who has who is mentally and physically disabled would have had ADHD because she is mentally and physically disabled. If I had gotten spinal meningitis, tuberculosis spinal meningitis like she did as a baby, it would have killed me. The fact that she has mental disability and physical disability means that she does not have autism because her brain fixed itself. You know, she spent the first, you know, 18 years of her life going through, you know, especially up until puberty, all kind of different, like, walk therapies and stuff like that. The school worked with her, the hospital worked with her, she has brain pumps, like, all this kind of stuff. And that is because she has the normal ADHD brain. She does not have autism. That is neurology. That's how the brain works. Like, same thing with my brother. Like, if he has, you know, gets something and stuff, he doesn't become intellectually disabled. He gets upset. Like, I am outside of, I don't get upset because I've got a job to do, and that's saving my life. So and that's like baseline. Like, that's something that's like out of my control. That's who I am, you know, that's how ADHD works. Like, you know, that is the basis for all religions. Like, so, you know, there is this, you know, a whole huge ass group of people saying that they need help about something and they don't need help. Like, because it doesn't, you know, manifest. Like, it doesn't logic out. Like, they don't have neurological problems. Like, all these people say that they do, but then they're not going to the hospital. They're not getting treated. You know, there's no physical symptoms. Like, they're not having any kind of, like, autistic, you know, symptoms, like, that are, like, the founding of, like, neurorigidity and stuff. You know, they have ADHD, like, you know, a normal brain. You know, I've mentioned before, and I'll say this again, like, Rome, when it became governed outside of a monarchy, you know, a little over 2,000 years ago, had two people ruling it at once. And that is the two types of brain. You have the one brain that's neurodivergent, and you have the other brain that neurodiverts. That's what it was based on. Like, that's what Rome was founded on. And our entire political system of the entire world is based on that. Like, that's the thing. And that's really crazy that, like, I mean, but there's tons of people that walk around and say that, you know, World War II didn't happen and the Nazis didn't happen, and, like, the earth is flat, too. So, you know, it's not too surprising, but at the same time, it's really disheartening, and it's depressing. Like, it is the reason why I take an antidepressant, you know, because I do live on this planet. So, obviously, but, like, and that's a lot of knowledge, like, a lot of, wisdom to have, like, you know, because that's not something I can take away. Like, I can't take away my entire life experiences, you know. Shit, I can't even take away this year, like, you know, so, like, that's really crazy. Like, that is the reality of the situation. Like, that's, you know, it definitely is a cult. Like, you know, but I've been, like, I'm so glad somebody said, like, don't tell me how to raise my kids. You know, I wasn't telling them that, but, like, that's kind of, like, what it alludes to and stuff. Is like, oh, yeah, it is a religion, you know. And it's like, more power to you as long as you're not doing, like, what the KKK did, you know. But the thing is that people are definitely killing each other over it and stuff, you know. People are definitely calling their kids autistic, and their kids are going to school saying, oh, I'm autistic, and the kids is definitely getting the smackdown because of it. Like, because, you know, inherently there's some parts of people that know what autism is. Like, it's not something that goes away. And the thing is like, if something can't exist, like, it pops up in people's minds. And I'm not talking about, like, how I have it and popped up, but, like, you know, like, the idea of it. Like, it's not unknowable. So people know when someone doesn't have autism, and lots of people go around saying they do, you know, and that's really terrible for your kid. Like, that is really terrible to put a kick me, you know, or shoot me sign on your kid's head. Like, so I'm going to stop there. But that's a real thing.